What if the one person you were never supposed to love became the only person you couldn't live without? This isn't just a story about love, it's about temptation, guilt, betrayal, and a decision that destroyed an entire family. Stay till the end, because what happens next will leave you speechless. And if you love deep, emotional stories that hit hard, make sure you subscribe right now. You don't want to miss what's coming. It all began on a rainy evening, the kind where silence feels heavier than words. Arav stood at the doorstep of his childhood home, a place he hadn't visited in 3 years. His father had called him back, urgent, cold, and without explanation. As he stepped inside, everything felt the same, yet something was off. The air was tense, unfamiliar. And then he saw her. She stood in the living room, wearing a simple sari, her eyes calm but unreadable. This was Mira, his father's new wife. His stepmother. Arav froze. She wasn't what he expected. She wasn't distant, harsh, or overly kind. She was composed. Too composed. Their eyes met for just a second, but in that second, something unexplainable passed between them. Not love, not attraction, just awareness. The first few days were normal. Or at least, they pretended to be. His father was mostly absent, busy with work, leaving Arav and Mira alone in a house filled with silence. Conversations were minimal, polite, distant. But slowly, the distance began to shrink. It started with small things. A cup of tea left outside his room. A casual question about his work. A shared laugh over something trivial. And then, longer conversations. Late nights. In spoken comfort, Arav found himself opening up in ways he never had before. About his struggles, his loneliness, his anger towards his father. And Mira listened, really listened. But Mira had her own story. She wasn't married out of love. She was married out of necessity. A life decision made under pressure, not desire. And in Arav, she found something she had lost long ago, connection. Days turned into weeks. The lines began to blur. One night changed everything. There was a power outage. The house went dark, lit only by candlelight. Rain poured outside, louder than ever. Arav sat in the living room, restless. Mira joined him, bringing 2 cups of tea. They talked. About life. About regrets. About what ifs. And then, silence. Not awkward. Not forced. Just heavy. Arav looked at her. Really looked at her. And for the first time, he didn't see his stepmother. He saw a woman. And Mira didn't look away. That moment stretched longer than it should have. And then it happened. A touch. Unintentional, but not withdrawn. Their hands brushed, and neither moved. The world outside kept crashing, but inside, everything stopped. That night, they crossed a line that could never be uncrossed. What followed wasn't love. Not at first. It was confusion, guilt, desire. They tried to stay away from each other. Avoid eye contact. Avoid being alone. But the more they resisted, the stronger it became. It turned into secret glances. Hidden conversations. Stolen moments. And then, a relationship. A forbidden one. Days felt like a dream. Nights felt dangerous. Every sound, every step, every knock on the door felt like exposure. But secrets never stay hidden forever. One evening, Arav's father came home early. He noticed the change. The tension. The way Arav and Mira avoided each other too carefully. Suspicion grew. And then came the truth. A message. A single message left on Mira's phone, seen by the wrong eyes. Everything shattered. The confrontation was explosive. His father's anger wasn't just rage, it was betrayal. From his son. From his wife. The 2 people he trusted the most. Words were thrown. Accusations screamed. And then, silence. The kind of silence that ends families. Arav left that night. Mira stayed. But nothing was the same. Weeks passed. Arav tried to move on, but guilt consumed him. What they had, it wasn't just wrong. It destroyed everything. And yet, he couldn't forget her. Mira, on the other hand, lived in a house that had turned into a prison. No love, no trust, just regret. And then came the final twist. Mira left. Not for Arav, not for anyone. She chose herself. Months later, Arav received a letter. Not a message. Not a call. A letter. In it, Mira wrote, "What we had was real, but it wasn't right. And sometimes, the hardest truth is that love alone isn't enough. We didn't just break rules, we broke lives. And I refuse to live with that shadow forever." I hope one day, you forgive yourself. Because I'm still trying to forgive myself too. Arav sat there, holding the letter, realizing something painful. Some relationships don't end because they weren't strong enough. They end because they were never meant to exist. And that is what destroys you the most.